Well, hi everybody, this is Mr. Moore and welcome to Session 6, Straight Talk about Small Business Marketing. Let's get started. In this session, we want to talk about the realities of trying to run a marketing or promotional campaign in a small business. It's not quite the same as it is with a large business, as we'll try to show you as we go along here. The textbook you have, and textbooks in general, have a responsibility to cover the full range of promotional tools that are available. They talk about the extensive detailed plans that companies can come up with. They talk about multi-pronged strategies. They talk about integrated communications tools. They talk about sophisticated staff and partners that bring all of these elements together. And these are all very helpful and, in fact, very exciting aspects of promoting a business or developing a marketing campaign. But full promotional plans like this are, in the end, very complex and expensive. And this is where we come into the problems that small businesses will have trying to implement such complex programs. As a result, few firms can do this. There are not many small companies that have the resources required to pay the staff, the third-party vendors, and to use all the different integrated marketing communications tools that you could use to do the things that your textbook would suggest that you do. Now, that doesn't mean that these are bad, it's just the reality of running a small business. Small companies have limits. They have very stringent limits on what they can do and what they can afford. They have limits in terms of money. They don't have millions and millions of dollars of revenue coming in each year to set aside $1 or $2 million to do a promotional campaign. They also don't have a whole lot of staff. They have a limited staff, limited people to put on this project or to get this done. And then they have limited bandwidth. The time for the owner or the managers of that business to plan and carry out an extensive marketing or promotional campaign is very limited. They just don't have a lot of time. And there are some things that we need to keep in mind when we're talking about small businesses. When it comes to the amount of time that the managers and owners can invest, a few things we have to keep in mind. Number one, the typical small business usually has only one or two owners. There's usually just one guy or gal, or maybe two at the most, who are managing and running that whole business. And these business leaders are managing this small group of employees. They're coordinating all the value-producing elements of the business, like baking the cakes or putting in the floors or meeting with the clients or managing all of that. And then they're juggling the overhead portions of the business, parts that we don't really talk about when we think about owning a small business, like doing the payroll, paying the taxes, dealing with the bills that have to be paid, and all of that kind of thing. On top of this, those owners are typically, at least most of them, are doing a lot of the work of the business as well. So they're actually the ones in the kitchen, if it's a bakery, baking the cakes, or they're out at the customer's home installing the floors, or they're meeting with the clients and doing the quotes. They're doing the actual business. So when you have these kind of limitations, expecting a small business to have this extensive, well-staffed, well-funded marketing and promotional campaign is just unreasonable. It's just not going to happen. Small business owners must, therefore, focus on a limited range of options that produce the greatest return. In other words, because they don't have the money, because they don't have the time, because they don't have the staff, they have to narrow in on what exactly they can get done given their context with their marketing and their promotional campaign. So if you own a small business, or if you go into a small business, or if you're ever consulting with a small business, this is an important thing to help them see. Let's focus here. Let's not try and be everything to everybody. So what I want to do with those limitations in mind is I want to make two recommendations for promotional campaigns where small businesses are concerned. So let's look at those. Two recommendations. Number one, focus your efforts. Don't try to reach everybody. Narrow your efforts in at least the following ways. Number one, focus on your largest customer segment. That's one way to focus. is you look at that segment of your customer base that contains the most customers. What part of my business represents most of my business? What's the biggest part of my customers? And then let's focus in on them. That's one way to focus. Another way to focus is to focus on the thing that's most profitable for you. Remember, you're in this to make money, and making money means making profit. So you might look at your business and say, which aspects of my business, which products or services do I offer that I end up making the most money at? Well, why don't I focus on promoting those so that when people come in to buy those, I'm making more money and I'm getting a greater return on my marketing and promotional investment. See how that works? Narrow it down where you can make the most money. And then finally, use some combination of these two. Let's look at Barry's garage, Barry's automotive that we were talking about before. And let's just kind of see how this first recommendation might apply to him. If you remember with Barry, his target strategy was to focus on auto repair services for European cars like Mercedes, Porsche, Land Rover, and that kind of thing. All right, so under this first recommendation of focusing, how might this play out for him? Well, first of all, he might focus on his largest segment. Let's say that he studied his customers and he realized that by and large he does more Mercedes and BMWs than he does anything else. Well, if he's going to do a promotional campaign, run an ad, he might focus on those customers who have Beamers and Mercedes-Benz automobiles. That's a way he can focus. Or he may look at a profitable offering that he has. Let's say that Barry's very good at basic maintenance, like doing oil changes, tune-ups, brakes, that kind of thing. Let's say that he has the equipment and the staff, and just for some reason they're very, very good at it. And whenever he does that, he makes a lot of money. Well, he might then decide to focus that promotional campaign just on basic maintenance services to try and get more people in for that. Or he could combine the two, and he could say, let's take the basic maintenance offering and let's overlap it with the Mercedes and BMW customers, and let's run an ad for basic maintenance on BMWs and Mercedes. You see how that might work? The only thing that I warn you about there is when you combine these things, make sure you're not cutting down your customer base so small that it doesn't really give you the return on investment that you want. So if Barry looked at basic maintenance and BMWs and Mercedes and that ended up being 5% of his clients for whatever reason, he might not want to do that. He might just want to back up and do one or the other. Now, a second recommendation that I have for you for small business promotional campaigns is to, once you focus, use the right tool. Use the right tool, the right promotional tool. There are so many options when it comes to promoting a business. We talked about them in previous sessions. We talked about billboard advertising, print advertising, radio advertising, TV advertising, and online. But you want to, as a small business, you can't do all of those. You have to focus on the tool that's going to give you the return that you need and give you some specific criteria, meet some specific criteria. Give you the greatest return on your investment. So if I spend $1,000 in this ad campaign, I want to get as much back on that $1,000 as I can. Secondly, I want it to be measurable. I want to be able to see how many customers looked at that ad, or how many customers clicked, or how many customers came in, that kind of thing. And then finally, I want it to be affordable. I need something I can actually pay for without having to borrow $100,000 from my bank. And that fits into kind of the limitations that we've already talked about for small businesses. Now, in my experience, owning small businesses, running nonprofits and things like that, what I find fits a small business very well is online advertising. Online advertising like Google ads or Facebook ads or any of those online platforms. These give you some really nice benefits. First of all, it makes it easy for you to target your customers. And I'm going to show you in a moment an ad I ran for a church and let you look at how we specified the types of people we wanted to reach with this ad. And then it gives you some clear measurement parameters or metrics. You can figure out how many people saw it, how many people clicked on it, how many people went to a website or whatever the case is. And thirdly, it gives you the ability to adjust very quickly. You can go in to an online ad, Unlike a billboard that you print and you put up for 30 days or 60 days, you can go in and change it, change the text, change the image. Really easily change things if you find it's not working. And then finally, you can pay as you go. You put in $100 and you run ads through the $100 and you say, well, I'm out of money. So the ads stop. You get another $100, you put it in and you run the ads again. Very, very cost effective and affordable. Now what I want to do now is I want to go to the Facebook ad manager for the church that I ran this ad for, and I just want to show you a few things in that real quick. So let's do that now. So here is the ad manager for the church that I ran this ad for Knightsville Baptist Church, and nothing special about it. It's just one that I have easy access to. And Facebook has a suite called an ad center where you can create a new ad. You can look at old ads, and I haven't run in here in a while, and then you can look at the ads that you ran in the past. And what I want to do is I want to look at this ad right here. This was for a giveaway, a food giveaway for needy families at Christmas. And so you see here we've got just a quick look at it. We've got reach, links, and how much we spent and all of that. But let's just go into this, and I want you to just take a peek at this. Now by the time you watch this video, or by the time you run your own ads, the interface and the look and feel of this will all be different. But this is just to help you get a sense of what's available. So let's hit view results. So over here we've got this view results. We've got a couple of minor panels over here we'll look at. But here's performance. We spent $197.70 over 7 days. 318 people clicked the link. 7,568 saw the ad. Let's look at this right here and see what this does for me. This will explain what reach means. The number of people who saw your ads at least once. Reach is different from impressions, which may include multiple views of your ads by the same people. Okay, so there you go. You've got engagement, links, post shares. So this is how many people shared it, how many people responded to it in any way. Let's just click this and see what this is. I don't honestly know what this is going to do. Okay, we got 4 comments there. All right. We go down here. We've got another way to view things. We've got how many. We reached 7,568 people. And those were in these age ranges. All right. Let's look here at placements, mobile app news feed, suggested videos, mobile in-stream, and so on, and locations. Locations was in South Carolina only because this is where we ran this ad. Now here are the details of who we selected. We picked the United States. We picked 10 miles from the church location. We picked an age range, and we thought more than likely the women would be looking at the food and be interested in this ad. And so we selected that. Now I'm not going to go into this and look at how all we did that. But we set up a budget. I'm looking here to see if it shows where our budget amount was. Right there, our total budget was $300. And we spent $197.70 before we stopped it because we had all of the signups that we needed. So you can see here how nice this would be for a small business. We don't have to spend a lot of money. We've got a lot of metrics here. We can stop things whenever we want to. We can adjust ads. You know, you can edit ad here, for example. But this is a really great tool for a small business. So that's the end of this session 6 and the end of all of our sessions. I hope this has helped you understand marketing in small businesses and promotions in small businesses in particular. And I really appreciate you watching the video. Have a great day.